how does Parliament work? Well, you have bills, someone comes up with an idea, a few people come up with an idea, hopefully with good motivation, not always, and they prepare a bill, which is a series of suggested changes to the NHS, for example. And that bill then progresses through Parliament. Sometimes they go through the House of Commons, then the House of Lords, sometimes the other way round. If it goes through all the stages and isn't thrown out, it becomes an act. It goes on to statute, it's basically law. So my experience is connected with the infrastructure bill. So a bill, it hasn't made it through Parliament yet. This has been going through the House of Lords and it's due to arrive at the House of Commons shortly. So part 4 of the infrastructure bill is about energy. Maximising economic recovery of UK petroleum. The principal objective and the strategy is maximising the economic recovery of UK petroleum. What's wrong with that? Well, it doesn't say maximising the safe recovery, it says maximising the economic recovery. So you don't have to be a lawyer to work out that means economics are going to take priority over safety, because this is the principal objective. So that should ring alarm bells. The most controversial aspect of part 4 so far has been the removal of people's rights to stop lateral drilling through their property from 300 metres and lower. So there's a few things to understand there. If you own property, you own it to the core of the earth, where it sort of becomes indistinguishable, molten. So if somebody wants to drill laterally to access oil or gas, which belongs to the Crown, at the moment you have a right to negotiate that access and stop it if you wish. So the infrastructure bill plans to take away the rights of people to stop that. And one of the arguments put forward is over 300 metres down, people won't notice. Well, I'd say that's like saying if someone's asleep you can rifle their pockets. So long as they don't wake up, it doesn't matter. So a public consultation had to be done. And in June, the government stated, before the public consultation, the push to get this through Parliament would be entirely dependent on the outcome of that public consultation. 40,000 people, over 40,000 people wrote, and 99% of respondents objected. And there were quite a complex series of objections in some case. You can read the National Trust report, the NFU. So the consultation closed on August the 15th, and the Department of Energy and Climate Change said in Parliament, we're going ahead anyway. So entirely dependent on the public consultation? Don't think so. So that was about the access. What happened after the public consultation came through, for me, one Saturday morning, because I get emailed updates on this infrastructure bill. Anybody can, you can just go to parliament.gov. So one Saturday morning, through comes an amendment by Baroness Kramer. I'd say hot on the heels of the end of that public consultation. It wasn't very long afterwards, and I cannot believe that these amendments weren't planned sometime earlier. So further provision about the right of use. The way in which the right of use may be exercised includes drilling, boring, fracturing or otherwise altering deep level land, installing infrastructure in deep level land, keeping, using or removing any infrastructure, passing any substance through or putting any substance into your deep level land, keeping, using or removing any substance put into deep level land. The right of use includes the right to leave deep level land in a different condition from the condition it was in before, including by leaving any infrastructure or any substance in the land. I couldn't believe it when I read it. And there are a couple of words that jumped out, again, without needing to be a lawyer. I understand English. The word keeping and the word leaving. Keeping, to keep. Storage. Leaving. Dumping. What's it doing? What's this amendment for? Somebody wants to keep something, or the option to keep something in your land, or leave something in your land. So how many of us know about the developments in underground gas storage? I didn't. We don't know. How can we make informed decisions about whether we mind somebody keeping something, deep down it might be, but on our property, if we don't know how and what that might be? And leaving, dumping. The process of fracking has one very problematic aspect to it. Well, it's got many problematic aspects. One of them is what to do with the mildly radioactive waste fluids that are voluminous and very difficult to treat. What's been majorly problematic in the States is this practice of re-injection. They drill another hole and re-inject the waste. Deep down it might be, but that alters the pressure and various earthquakes. That means you get different fractures because of the earthquakes, and then there's a leakage of fluids which cannot be predicted. And there's been aquifer contamination, unquestionably related to that practice. And unfortunately, although we appeared to be protected by EU law, that wouldn't happen, there's some bit blurry aspects. So it's rather unclear leaving what substances. Why? Why is this suddenly on the agenda? And it goes into Parliament. Nothing. It's not problematic, apparently, but people don't know. So this is the thing about politicians, isn't it? They're supposed to be sitting in Parliament, reading these things, looking at these things, and then pointing out, this is a problem. My constituents and I can see, or would see if they knew about it, this has got major implications for anybody with property. What does leaving deep level land in a different condition mean? Well, it can go from uncontaminated to contaminated. What's going to happen when conveyancing is done with the buying and selling of property? It's extraordinary that we've reached a point where there are sort of citizen parliamentarians who are having to look at all this legislation because our serving MPs don't seem able to understand the implications nor willing to protect the interests of their constituents. I sat in the House of Lords last winter in 2013 for the Economic Affairs Committee hearings on unconventional oil and gas, and they were having this conversation. I think Lord Lawson was berating perhaps Ern Patterson, I can't remember, I don't care to remember because they all seem to be of the same ilk, saying, you know, why haven't we managed to convince the public this is good? I was sitting there, unable to speak, of course, thinking, you haven't convinced us that it's a good idea because it's not a good idea. Anybody who's done their proper research can see this is not a good idea. So the idea of convincing the public, what's that? It seems irrelevant to them whether it's actually a good idea or not. It's just about convincing the public of something that perhaps is quite untrue. The response to Lord Lawson was, well, I'm a politician, so they're not going to believe us, are they? And they're not going to believe the oil and gas industry either. So why is that? Why is that? It's because of this kind of behaviour. That's why. You don't command trust, you earn it.